Bentley has just unveiled the new Bentley Flying Spur for 2025, and it is a beast of a machine. I always thought that the Flying Spur looks like Art Deco on wheels. I think it's a beautiful looking sedan. Classy styling, very elegant. It's not really maybe the front end beautiful, but it feels architectural to me, and it's a very cool design. So we're going to have a look at what this is. From this article from Car and Driver. Then we're gonna jump into Photoshop, check out the front, side, rear, and also the interior to see the new design changes for the 2025 Bentley Flying Spur. Before we do that, let's check out the spec and tech here, linked down below. 2025 Bentley Flying Spur revealed with 771 horsepower hybrid V8. And you also have a refined bumper. I like how manufacturers these days place the radar sensor. They just place it randomly in the front, and BMW has it in the 5 Series right in the middle of the kidneys. And here we have it on the passenger side, it looks like, of the grills. It's just a tiny little hole there. Very weird positioning for the radar. So the 2025 Bentley Flying Spur replaces the car's W12 engine with the same plug-in hybrid V8 we find in the Continental GT, meaning that it makes 771 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque. You also have 47 miles of pure electric drive, which is not bad at all. 47 miles, probably your daily use for this car could be all electric if you wanted to. So Bentley called this new unit the Ultra Performance Hybrid, and it combines a twin-turbo 4-liter V8 at 584 horsepower, and then you have the 187 horsepower electric motor connected to an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic, meaning that we get 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, which is faster than the old W12, which did it in about 3.5 seconds. Even though we probably have a lot more weight in this, or maybe they did some magic tricks to bring down the weight even lower or lighter than the W12, I'm not sure. The interior adds a new diamond quilt pattern for the seats, while the 3D diamond hide now stretches to the doors and the pillars as well. Bentley's optional wellness seating specification can now be ordered for all 4 seats, meaning that you have automatic climate seats for all 4 seats and massaging seats and so on. Posture settings and what have you. Changes to the exterior are focused on the front end of the car, which retains most of the previous car's design language, but we now have a new bumper and a new grille. The bumper now takes on a slightly more aggressive look that extends the body panel into the lower fascia. You have 3 new wheel designs, all 22 inches. Thankfully, you don't do a staggered setup on a Bentley. I hope they don't, because I would look completely wrong on this type of vehicle and this type of package. It will be available in more than 100 exterior colors, but as with Bentley, we were used to seeing from Bentley, you can order it in whatever color you want. The outgoing model started just under $220,000, so this will probably maybe be a little bit more expensive than that, and it will launch as the performance-focused Speed model at first. And here we have it. Look at this design. This is Gotham City to me. It's such a cool design with these Art Deco vibes that I get every time I look at a Bentley. And I also love that Bentley is sort of the perfect blend between luxury, hyper luxury, and also some sportiness in there. And I really like the philosophy behind it. So looking at the front end here, we do have a new front bumper, as they said. So this lower section down here is new. I do think this piece right here is brand new as well. Look at the headlights here. We have all these crystals and stuff going on in the headlight design. I don't want to know what it would cost to replace one of these headlights here. Typical Bentley grille. This has been around for a long time. I was a huge fan of the old Continental T's, the Continental R's, the Arnage, all these beautiful, from the mid-90s or early 90s to the mid-2000s, beautiful designs, still intact here with this beautiful grille. We have sort of this spine on the hood going into the emblem sitting up there on the grille. And this is what I'm talking about. This little radar here, you have a circle that just breaks up the otherwise perfectly fine mesh of the grille, and then they just splashed a radar in right there. At least I think this is probably better than what BMW did with the 5 Series, just have a square in between the kidneys. I also like the overall styling here at the lower section because it feels like we have a lot of horizontal lines, and if you want to have a car that looks stately, I mean, it doesn't get more stately than a Bentley, and you can see that here. We have a lot of horizontal lines here and also some vertical lines cutting here, creating this big grille in the front end. Huge 22-inch wheels. Now, the side view here. This is a stunning design with all these line flows and the graphic as well. Look, starting at the bottom here, for example, we have this graphic here cutting through the rear axle and then coming back in the exact same line into the bumper here. This line up here is a typical Bentley line with this muscle over the rear axle. We had it in the first Continental GT. It was very pronounced in the bodywork of the car. It didn't have this crease up top, but it looked like a huge muscle over the rear axle, of course, planting this car properly. And in continuation from this curve is this shoulder line here that goes right from the passenger doors and stretches right in, increases into the front end. A absolutely stunning design, typical sedan proportions here. And you can see that this feels super executive to me. I don't know why. I mean, it is a Bentley, it's supposed to be executive, but it just feels like this is a car that you want to be driven in, even though I would probably drive this all the time myself if I owned one of these. You can see that the passenger door here is a lot longer than the front door, or maybe the same length here, but you can see that it's very long, making it super easy to go in and probably have a huge amount of space back there in the rear. New 22-inch wheels. These wheels, I don't know about these wheels. When I see them, I don't know if I like them or not. They feel maybe little like Hyundai styling to me. It doesn't maybe suit Bentley to have this type of style for the wheels. I would want to have a simple design here, like a multi-spoke design, something like this with some more elegant vibe to it, of course. Maybe have some turbine inspired with some simplistic design. This looks South Korean styling to me when it comes to the wheel design. So that's the only thing. I would probably switch those wheels up. Now, looking at the rear end, love the B. You see that we have a B here inside of the taillights for Bentley, of course. Love the graphics going around it as well, and this chamfer going into this B portion of the B here, then continues in here down low into then creating a nice separation. You know what I'm gonna say, from the top half graphics to the lower half graphic right here. A proper bumper. We rarely see proper bumpers these days on cars, so I'm always glad to see that. I also like that we have this panel here. Maybe the Bentley letters here could, not sure, maybe they could be a little bit bigger, but at the same time, it doesn't have to shout that it is a Bentley. It's maybe supposed to be a little more subtle, so maybe the smaller font here suits it more. I'm not sure. We have oval exhaust pipes in the lower section. Glad that Bentley is still keeping the exhaust pipes visible here. Looks like we have a full black roof here, probably a panoramic moon roof or whatever they call it these days. Huge C-pillar here, thick C-pillar. I like when they have it like this. You have the same sort of thickness on the Rolls-Royce Phantom, and it makes it feel like the car is protecting the rear seat by having a huge C-pillar like this. And the trunk looks nice as well. From this roof line going in here, you can see this chamfer going up here, and then cuts in, creates a big shelf here, wraps around, creating the boot or the trunk for the Bentley Continental GT, for the Bentley Flying Spur. Now, looking at the interior here, the difference between Bentley and Rolls-Royce is that Bentley, as I said, is supposed to be a little bit more sporty. And that's what I thought was wrong with the new Cullinan when I saw that interior. It looked like a sports shoe. Did not suit Rolls-Royce to have that type of interiors. But when it comes to Bentley, this is what I want to see. Carbon fiber everywhere here on the top piece. This, of course, being the Speed, the performance version. It looks so nice to have some matte carbon fiber. I do think this matte might be glossy. I'm not sure. We have a sporty looking steering wheel here as well. And the thing about luxury brands like this is that you still thankfully get tactile buttons. This is going to be a feature that I think will be exclusive for luxury and high, expensive brands. The more expensive the car, I think the more we're going to see physical buttons in those models. You can see we have proper buttons, nothing like touch buttons or something like that, like we have in Volkswagen these days. I think they went back to actual buttons because people complain too much about it. You have a physical watch here, and all the buttons you need are located down here. I also love that we have the controls for the looks to be the climate control settings here, and of course no navigation is visible here, but this tilts up, so this can flip around and then show you either these dials here, which I personally would probably always have visible unless I'm navigating somewhere I don't know where to go, but we can probably still have the full map being in here in this beautiful gauge cluster. So I would never really need to have the full gauge cluster, infotainment screen visible here. This looks so much cleaner and more elegant and more timeless to have just a flat panel like that with a couple of analog gauges, even though the gauge cluster here, as you can see, is still fully digital, which is completely fine because it sits so deep within the dash here that you're not going to have any problems with glare or anything. And you can see the curvature going up here with the housing for the gauge cluster and the beautiful red stitching here. As I said, you can combine the colors of this new Flying Spur. You know, the customization options are just endless with Bentley, and that is how it's supposed to be when you're paying this type of price for a brand new car.